mentioned you were in neuroscience for 11 years before you got into medical writing. So I'd love to go back there and kind of talk about what that transition was like for you, and like what made you reassess your career and where you wanted to go with things.
So yeah, it was a bit different than all other freelancers, because usually new freelancers, they have a path. They have a path set up. They are doing something in their fields, and then they decide to freelance, and then they do part-time, they get some coaching, and then they move on to full-time freelancing. It wasn't that straightforward for me. So I had a PhD in neuroscience, and then I did like 2 postdoctoral fellowships. And while I was in bench research, I started to get like burnout. Burnout was a big thing that made me think about other options. And then since beginning, I loved communicating science more than like doing research. So it was just abruptly one day, I stood up and I decided, okay, I'm going to quit bench research from tomorrow, and I'm going to move to freelance medical writing. And trust me, whatever I learned from in these 3 years, I learned on the street. I made mistakes, I learned on the street, and it was a really steep learning curve. But the good thing was I was lucky to meet with great and to find my path to great mentors like Alex Housen, Laurie DeMilto, Genevieve Walker. Whatever now I'm doing, I just learned from them and then trying to follow their footsteps. So initially when I just jumped, I don't know, I didn't know where to go. What I did was I just like put myself out on the freelance marketplace, and I was there for a while, and I started to realize, okay, there's something wrong with these marketplaces, and really have to find I really have to create my own company, create my brand. I have to work on those things and really have to find like good clients. So I moved to LinkedIn. I completed my certificate in medical writing and editing from University of Chicago. I did a track in freelancing there. And then I started my company. It's called Intelligible Scientific Writing, LLC. We are based in Maryland. And I founded it like just last year.
That's exciting.
Officially. And I'm not on any freelance marketplaces now, and just totally invested in my company.
Amazing. I love that. And when you say marketplaces, I'm assuming you mean places like Upwork, where
and
it's
Fiverr.
Like people are competing for the same projects, and it's kind of driving down the compensation, and it's making it really stressful and kind of grabby. And yeah, it's a totally different experience.
The most important thing, I feel like the difference between working on these places and when you actually have your company and you work on LinkedIn is there on Upwork and Fiverr, you are just like acquiring clients. You're in that mindset, okay, I need to sell myself. I need to get this project, and it's like competitive. Versus here, you're building true, genuine relationships with your clients, and you're like honing those skills and getting into like true good connections. When you work on these marketplaces, you're not building any network and not building any connections. Maybe a client find you again, but that's not worth it in my terms.
Yes, and it takes all the stress and the competition out of it, because it's just between you and them. You're on the same level. You're just exchanging ideas and thoughts. And if it's not a good fit, it's not a good fit. But if it is, then you're kind of in that calm state of mind where you can pursue it and you can express how you feel and what you want and come to an agreement that makes sense for both sides.
Yeah, and that calmness is what I desired when I left bench science. Otherwise, I was happy in bench science. Why I would have left that? So.
I want to pick up on the fact that you mentioned you had done the medical writing and editing certificate from the Chicago University. A lot of people kind of get into this mindset of like, should I be doing certifications? Should I be learning more of the theory and the technical stuff? Or should I be trying to get more hands-on practical experience on the actual business and marketing side and working with clients. Obviously, I'm pretty biased because I feel like the practical hands-on side is always the way to go, but I'm curious to hear from your own experience. What did it give you that you felt either you could or you couldn't have gotten elsewhere, and how did you still have to fill the gaps afterwards?
So, yes, it's a very good question. I actually believe you need both of them. For me, as a scientist, you're just like working on one typical, you have a particular mindset, and you don't understand that what other people, they might not know science that well that you know. You may just like, you have to hone your skills in communicating science.
Mm-hmm.
So for that transition, I believe that course helped me laid out the basics, just refresh my skills on just the basics, like how to. There are different ways. You have to write in plain language. You have to write for continuing medical education, and there are different structures for everything. And so that course gave me a broader overview of everything. And for sure, I lack the hands-on experience, and you need that. So I fill those gaps by reaching out to people like you, people like Alex Housen, who are like teaching students in specific skills. And then I work with them for a while too, and I'm still doing that. It's always, you're always learning. When you're a business owner, a freelancer, learning should never stop. You should like always keep on getting new skills. And so that's how I'm filling those gaps. But for sure, there are gaps. Yes. But I believe you need both.
No, that's a great point. And
in my personal experience,
yeah. And a lot of times people come to us because they want to understand, what kinds of deliverables there are and how to meet client expectations. And they do have a lot of technical questions, and we always answer those questions, but we tend to kind of put it into the bigger perspective of, it's great to know all of this stuff, but what does it mean when you actually have a client in front of you, and how are you going to negotiate that, and how are you going to ask the right questions, and how are you going to sell yourself but not come across as being too desperate or driving the price down because you feel insecure about what you have to offer. So I think it's great that you've just taken it you've just taken an approach that works for you, and you've kind of plugged those gaps as you go. And how long do you think it took you to kind of get your business off the ground once you started?
A couple of months. I'll say 6 months. 6 months to a year. But and main thing was for me, the main thing was to learn about and get that freelance mindset. You have to be, freelancing is a different beast. You have to learn to how to tame that beast. First thing is you have to develop that mindset that, okay, I need collaborations. I need this for my business. I don't need a client. I don't need to sell myself to a client for like a small project. I need to grow my business. And one thing I used to do all the time, to compare myself with others who are doing day jobs, who get a specific salary every month. And I'm like, okay, I cannot keep on doing that. I have to understand that there will be days then when I'll have a good project. There will be days when I don't have a project, and I have to work on the admin sides of business when I do that during those times, and I have to work continuously to get more clients, to network with more people. So developing that mindset was most important and most difficult.
Yes, I completely agree with you. And I also experienced that myself. And I think it does take some time for people to realize sometimes that they are running a business, and that they need to look at all sides of the business: the cash flow, the marketing, the sales, the delivery, the client relationship, all of that stuff collectively forms your brand and your reputation. And that is what gives you the longevity and what gives you that sense of security that your business is not going anywhere, because you're showing up every day for your business the way that it needs you to. I'm
Most
curious.
new freelancers, they don't understand that they have to devote admin time in their business.
Yes.
There will be
yes.
non-billable hours. They'll not be doing medical writing for, like, say, 40 hours a week.
Yes.
That's a big thing to learn early on, and just to like strategically plan, okay, I'm going to spend 10 hours a week on just my business.